an extra bone here. If you miss it by such and such, then you pay us more. So it can go both ways, right? So that's why we make sure it's a two-way street.
From 128 to 131, there's a table. It's called Table 4, and it goes advantages and disadvantages of all the various contracts. It's a really, it explains everything pretty detailed.
It's also the week 4 PowerPoint.
Thank you.
I know we talked about that. Very good. And again, well, one other comment, but you're good.
Yeah, I mean, it was just so vague. We weren't really sure where to hone in on anything, so we just kind of.
Yeah. The other takeaway that I would say is based off all this what Nick went over is know when to use certain types of contracts, right? I mean, not only I'm doing this for your benefit for studying for the final, but it's also a benefit for you to study and know in real life. So when to use certain types of contracts, knowing when to use fixed versus time materials versus incentive versus cost plus whatever it may be. So know when to use, because there's definitely situations you want to use one versus the other. Okay?
You think there'd be flat out this versus like everything would just kind of it would.
Yeah, I mean, if things are pretty well known and set, if you're the supplier, a fixed price contract's not bad because you know what to do. It's repeatable, it's fixed, you're going to get that guaranteed.
Mm.
If it's time materials, I mean, if it's not known and you're locking yourself into a price, you may go way above that and do nothing, right? If it's kind of vague, you want to do time materials, you want to do something that maybe you agree with the other party to split the actual overrun, or we talked about that, splitting the difference. So again, it comes down to what? All this comes down to is what? What's the requirements, right? What's to be done? How specific or defined are your requirements? Are things known or are they unknown? Right?
It's just in the contract they talked about technical requirements, which very much goes over the statement of work, and then your administrative, which is more of your terms and conditions.
Yeah. So that's what's going to drive what you do. If it's, using that word again before, repeatable. If it's repeatable, you know how to do something over and over, you know how long it's going to take. Right? So you have no problem locking in a price that you're going to get because you know how long it's going to take you to do. So, okay. Good. Who have we not heard from? This team right here. Let's talk about pre-bid meetings. Right here. Who's going to take that one?
This chapter 7 specifically, page 97.
97. Okay.
It talks about the inputs, tools and techniques and outputs of bids and proposal preparation.
Okay.
Your inputs for bid preparation is your solicitation for procurement documents, including RFPs, RFQs, IPDs, etc. Your analysis of solicitation, which is basically it's making sure that your proposal is grounded towards the customer's needs or requests.
Okay, so into the pre-bid meeting itself, you need to have proposals, okay?
Your competitive analysis report, or your which includes your DOAG, your discriminators, AHAs, and ghosts, which literally take your competitive take your competitors and literally break them down to their strengths and weaknesses compared to your companies.
That's more from a seller. Let's look at more from a buyer. What's the actual pre-bid meeting? We're getting just a little bit out of the scope. Narrow it down to pre-bid meeting. What is a pre-bid meeting? What's the use of it? Why do you have a pre-bid meeting? what's the format, and what's the specifics of that?
For the buyer point?
Well, what does it mean? I mean, don't.
Well, your pre-bid meeting is to actually get your contractors in one room so that
Okay,
everybody's.
now we're going, that's what I
So
want.
that the scope of the project is known to all parties.
And that's exactly where we're looking for, all contractors, you know, together, right? Okay, and what do you do at pre-bid meetings?
They identify the scope of the project.
Okay. So again, a pre-bid meeting is held when? Pre-bid, so it's before the actual bidding, right? So you would send out an RFP, but then you have the pre-bid meeting before, right?
Before your bids are
Before the
accepted.
bids are accepted. And again, what would you do in such a meeting? Would you have everybody at the same time, or could you stagger it between, you know, company A, B, C, and D?
You can have them separate or at the same time.
Okay?
It's basically to, you know, to let the contractors know what you plan, what the project consists of, answer any questions or concerns.
Exactly. All right. So Q&A session, right? With the scope of the project, okay? What else can be done there is you can explain what the project. So who explains the project?
The
buyer.
The buyer, yeah.
Buyer explains the project is, the Q&A session is more or less for the sellers, right? Okay. Now again, it's optional, it doesn't have to be held all the time,
Correct.
right? When do you think it would be advantageous to have one of these? What circumstance?
You don't know exactly what the scope of the job.
Okay, yeah, if it's very well spelled out, it's something that's been done
Or not.
prior, then you probably don't need this, but if it's something that is, you know, if there's any uncertainty there, right? Or maybe in the case of you have what? New suppliers you haven't dealt with before, you want to get to know them, right? So if you have any potential new suppliers, right? So again, just think of it as, you know, it's a, keep correlating it to an interview process, you know? You want to scope it down, so you want to kind of get a feel, a warm fuzzy of who you potentially may want to go on with to interview in more detail, right? So you bring in a group of people, first time interviews, talk to them, see them. Okay, now I see them, now I want so-and-so to come back for what? A more in-depth interview, right? We went through the same process. So that pre-bid is that initial interview, really what it is. But again, you need to do what? During this whole pre-bid process, there's a word I'm looking for that has to be met. What is that? From the buyer's perspective, you have to be what?
Qualified.
We've used this, well, no, we've used this word a couple times already. Consistent. Right? You can't go and play favoritism to one company over another. You can't, for example, give Marcus's company more answers to specifics than Crystal's because you like Marcus better, you want him to win. Not ethical, right? You have to be consistent. Just like if you're interviewing, you have to be as consistent as possible. Even more so here, right? So consistent. Well, that's really what it is, okay? Anybody from outside that team have any items to add? Very, very useful, powerful tool if you need it. Because Mark just went through this, right? Because you eliminated one or two organizations that you don't want to do the RFPs for, right? Yeah, help me.
It actually, you know, when you're doing that weeding out process, it is the best way to do it.
Yeah. And you probably gained insights into how you were going to modify the RFP from this as well, I would imagine.
We
right?
actually, based
It opens your eyes.
But based off what we found, we were actually able to add some items to
There we
our
go.
RFP that we didn't
Yep.
have it
Yep.
at first.
Yeah. Again, just like anything else, the more you bring it open, you think of things, right? So, okay. Good job. All right, let's, pre-award phase. Look at RFPs.
Actually, you know what? Hold on
Oh,
one
is
second.
it?
Hold on one
Hold on.
second.
Did we run out of tape?
No, but I got half of these, so let me just do this and then I'll grab the other half on the other
Okay.
side. Get you writing really quick. Because then what I'll do is the other one will,
I'm gonna go behind you. I don't want to interrupt your visual display. Can you do a take two? Does the iPad have a video mechanism, Rick?
Yes. Is that a Galaxy?
yes it is.